At the new Lloydminster Nissan, we're proud to offer the guaranteed lowest rates on used vehicles and the best selection we've ever had. Stop in today and you'll find clear pricing on all of our pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. And right now, you'll save 10% on our service department. That's 10% on parts and labor on all makes and models. Call the new Lloydminster Nissan at 780-875-3335 to make your appointment today. At the new Lloydminster Nissan, we won't sell you a car, we'll help you buy one.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Hey, we want to welcome you inside Border City Furniture, where the sale never ends. We're here today for the Border City PROspectives, a positive look at the city and the area that we call home. Our guests today are Teri-Lynn MacKie. She's the Executive Director with the Chamber of Commerce. And from the City of Lloydminster, we have Lloydminster City Manager Dion Pollard. And Deanna Wandler is here as well from Umbrella Marketing and Design, Inc. And she also has worked for both newspapers over the years as well. And there's been lots of years that Deanna has done that. So we remind you that the new Lloydminster Nissan has the guaranteed lowest rates right now on pre-owned and the best pre-owned selection that the new Lloydminster Nissan has ever had. All clearly marked, and right now in the service department at the new Lloydminster Nissan, get 10% off everything. That includes parts and labor, and the service department now open on Saturdays from 9 to 1. It's not just the name, it is Superior Water. Superior Water has 2 locations in Lloydminster, and they're open on Sundays to make filling your big blue jugs a whole lot quicker and easier. And if you want great tasting water right for your tap, you can call the Superior Water team and ask about their under-the-sink reverse osmosis systems. 780-875-6636. I drink Superior Water because I like the taste, and after all, it is called Superior Water, open on Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, and Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 5. And don't forget they have a coin-operated location just off Highway 17 South by 7-Eleven. We'll be heading out this Thursday to deliver another delicious meal, and we're going to be traveling south of Kidscotty to Jason Mitchell and his family in Cruz Farm. And maybe some neighbors will be there as well as we deliver a fantastic roast beef meal. Now we still have one meal to draw for, so nominate a farmer today for Feed the Farmer. Not only can farmers win a delicious meal delivered right to them, but they'll also be nominated. When you nominate them, they'll also be entered in to win one of 2 $500 Diamond 7 Meats gift cards. And also when they win, they're entered in to win 160 acres of aerial spray from Bradley Air. So we have some tremendous sponsors, including Sobeys Lloydminster, Horizon Ag and Turf, Richardson Pioneer, BASF, the Tent Guys, Bradley Air, and Diamond 7 Meats. Now there is a jurisdiction, Deanna, how far we can travel, so sorry.
That's okay.
Cupcakes for Caregivers is presented by Lloydminster Sobeys and the Lloydminster District United Way. And it's a great way to recognize and thank those special caregivers in our lives. People, yes, that includes healthcare professionals. And so you can nominate a nurse, a home care worker, a doctor, a dentist, or a teacher, or even a bus driver. But we're also excited to recognize those people who take care of others in their family or through home care. You can nominate a caregiver today, and we can present them with a dozen signature cupcakes, but it's so much more than that. It's just a great way to show your appreciation, and just all you have to do is send us an email to livewithkurtprice@gmail.com. Just tell us about that special caregivers. Now, speaking of caregivers, we should mention that Connecting Parents and Supporting Families is holding their free Mother's Day event at the Legacy Center tonight at 6:45. Julie Harper told us that there'll be a couple of different forms of yoga with 2 local instructors, including something called Nidra Yoga.
It's a form of deep relaxation or sleep yoga. So none of this yoga is going to be crazy intensive. You're not strong enough, you're not fit enough, you don't need to do it. It is all meant to relax, decompress. And so, yes, she is going to help us learn how to relax and release built up tension. And we're ending with this one. So we're hoping that everyone will be able to take these skills home, and in those times where you can't sleep or you're stressed, you can kind of learn from these beautiful women.
Those two sessions will be led by Kirsten Stang and Jenny Dunkeld. And once again, it's free and it'll last probably about 2 hours starting at 6:45 tonight. They're committed, certified, reliable, and will help you get your life back. BioClean Disaster Services is not only Lloydminster's largest restoration company, they're also Lloydminster's local restoration company. 1-833-246-8326. You see them sponsor a whole lot of things, like, of course, the BioClean Aquatic Center. Street Fest is coming up. BioClean will be sponsoring that as well. But there's so much to BioClean Disaster Services in how they do things to get your life back. And that includes, of course, taking care of your property and your belongings, but more than anything, taking care of you and your family. 1-833-246-8326. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the positive things that Lloydminster has to offer. And we have with us 3 people who grew up here in Lloydminster. So we'll maybe try to take them back to their childhoods. Some go back a little further than others, Dion, but that's okay. We'll take a break and be right back here at Border City Furniture, where the sale never ends.
At CK McKean Roofing, they understand what it took to put that roof over your head for your family. With over 20 years of experience under their belt, they strive to show you that with their workmanship and their integrity. Not all roofing companies are created equal, and that's why CK McKean Roofing encourages you to focus on your most important investments, your home and your family. CK McKean Roofing. Roofers do it on top.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
Spend less time chasing wind speeds and more time doing what matters. Bradley Air Spray takes care of your mid-season application with speed, precision, and zero crop damage. No ruts, no delays, just fast, effective coverage that protects your yield and preserves your time. Plan to attend their grand opening on June 18th at the Lloydminster Airport, where you could win 160 acres of spraying. Call or text for more information, 780-205-7767. That's 780-205-PROP. Bradley Air Spray, because your time is worth more. Well, we want to once again welcome our guests here for the Border City PROspectives. And we put the pro in capital letters because we think Lloydminster is a great place to live. So joining us once again, we have Teri-Lynn MacKie. She's the Executive Director at the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce. Deanna Wandler is here. She's worked for both newspapers, and she also owns her own business now called Umbrella Marketing and Design, Inc. Just hosted a big event at the Lloydminster exhibition for girls aged 12 to 18 called Elevate. And we have Dion Pollard here, who grew up here and moved away for a while and then returned to be the city manager. And there was a great deal of excitement when he returned to be the city manager. And we're excited to have all of these people who grew up in Lloydminster with us. So I thought that would be a great place to start. And since Dion is the oldest, we'll start with Dion. And what you remember most about growing up in the border city?
Well, it's always been a great community. It's certainly born in the 70s. I think when I left Lloydminster in the late 90s, I think the city ended at McDonald's on Highway 16, and so it's certainly it's certainly grown significantly over the years. But always remember it as still today as a great community, great people, great community to live in, sports-minded, recreation-minded, event-minded community that always comes to the top when it needs to, and so today it hasn't changed.
Some of your childhood friends still live here and call it home, and do you
Actually,
still be in touch?
Lots of them do. Yeah, I know a lot of my buddies grew up in the oil patch, and some of them own businesses here today. R&D Plumbing, Brian Fisher, Corey Dallin, those guys. So lots of them are still around. We keep in touch. Social media, it's a lot easier to do that now.
Yep.
And a lot of the girls I grew up with, they're all still around here too. So yeah, no, it's always great to connect. And
A lot of the old girlfriends?
didn't have many, just the one I have today.
Well, if he wasn't friends, he was related to them.
Yeah,
Well, there's a lot of Pollards that live in the area. Are you related to all of them?
all of them. Yeah, every single one of them. Yeah.
So Jordan would be a relative?
Jordan would be a third or fourth cousin down the road. Yeah. But no, they're all related in some way, shape, or form. So that's one of the jokes at City Hall is I am related to just about everybody. If it's not the Pollard side, it's my mom's side, who's quite big in Lloydminster as well. So.
That's true. Oh, your mother-in-law, you mean?
And my mother-in-law too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty big in Lloydminster as well. I worked with Livette. Teri-Lynn, what do you remember about growing up in? And it wasn't quite as way back as...
Well, it wasn't that far back. It was pretty close. It was just we were a small town feeling with a lot of the bigger amenities that we had. And it was just a great place to grow up. There was lots of great people, and I loved it. I still love it. That's why we're still here.
So he grew up in the 70s. Did you grow up in the 90s?
No, 79 was when I was born, so...
Oh, so you grew up, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Made in the 70s, eh?
Through the 80s and into
Through the
90s.
80s, 90s, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did a lot of your class, did you see a lot of people around?
I still see a lot of people around. There is a few of us. A lot of people moved away and then end up coming back home, so...
Is that what you did too?
No, it's... So married my high school sweetheart, and him and his dad, he worked for his dad, and so you just stay because that's where the work was, and then you build your network, and you made Lloydminster even more so home. So yeah.
Were you high school sweethearts, or how did you meet yours?
Just after Tanis and I met at Lakeland College. We knew each other before, but we started dating just when I attended Lakeland College.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Deanna, you grew up here.
I did.
About the same era that
Yeah.
Dion and I did.
Actually, Dion.
Very close
actually, a lot of my fond memories of growing up was my parents ran the bowling alley when they built that. I grew up bowling. Our whole family bowled, and Dion and I bowled together, and we did this his whole family. And that's how it just that it was very sports mind. The ball, the bowling. We weren't involved in hockey. My brother didn't play hockey, but that's how we got to know a lot of people. And my parents are both born and raised here. Well, not born in Lloyd, but outside Lloyd, Paradise Hills. And they ended up here. My grandparents, both sets, lived here. And, I got involved very young in the media industry and built my network from that. And I've never left, and it was just, I raised my family here, and it's just great. Really great.
And of course, you see everybody, that you graduated high school with.
Yeah, like both of us, I'm sure that have a lot of our friends have come and moved back or have gone. But with social media, it's great to keep in touch with them and lots of new connections.
How long did your family run the bowling alley?
Oh, Lordy. I think that was built. I remember moving, we were on an acreage. Ashley, my little sister, was born 84, and we moved in from the acreage. She was a year and a half, because they built that one where Fabricland is, and they managed it for Westgate's and Preston's, and I was there, so I would have been 11. I don't even remember when they left there. I think I was done bowling. I think I had my kids, just about. So it was a lot of years. It was a lot of fun.
I'm just laughing because I think Ashley's going to kill you because you said what year she was born. So, good luck.
Right?
Good luck with that after.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm way older. It always.
You remember bowling?
Absolutely, yeah. We went to opening night, I think, with the Honies and the Mills, Jason Mills, and George and Brenda. We were good
so
bowling
many
buddies
memories.
back in the day, and so certainly, yeah, that was one of my fond memories. I couldn't play hockey for 1 year in Bantam, so I took up bowling, and that was when I took up. My sister was a really good bowler,
Oh, yeah.
and she made it to nationals a couple times, and so certainly it was a big family event for us.
Yeah.
Must have been a big deal when the bowling alley closed for a while then.
Yeah, it was.
It's nice to have it open again.
And we tried to talk my brother and dad into opening, and then McDonald's did that, so that was nice. At least it's still a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's different, but it's still available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to start with what it was like when you grew up here, but also kind of ask what it's like now. Like, what are some of the positive changes that you've seen? Because Dion, you mentioned that, the city ended at McDonald's, and it wasn't that many years ago that Walmart opened, and that kind of opened up a lot more things on that end of town. But what are some of the positive things that you've seen the city develop over, well, you moved away, came back, all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's growing this way, it's growing that, it's growing every way. But more than just growing in buildings and people, what are some of the positive things that you've seen throughout the city in your time?
Well, for me, it's just the development of the residential's grown exponentially, but just in terms of the rec facilities, Service Sports Center is, really a great facility. Things like the health foundation's really taken off. I looked in the paper the other day, $417,000. Those types of things to really grow in the community to be more than just it's not all about sports or not about, but just really taken off. The oil industry, obviously, oil and ag really play a key role, and all those sectors have really boomed and certainly had some challenges lately, especially in the oil industry. But certainly, it's just interesting to see how that's all developed and taken off.
Mm-hmm.
For you, Deanna, what do you?
Well, I guess the networking, the events. There's a lot more. Back in the day, you knew what everybody was doing, but now that we're growing and there's been a lot of we're a transient city, and so getting to know the new community members by way of events. There's lots, the golf tournaments, the galas. There's lots of stuff, and that's how you can meet new people, and I just grow your community feel, right? You get them involved in certain events, and then that way it just grows and grows, and then more people are getting involved in the community by volunteering or, helping out. So it's nice. I've seen it. I like that. It's growing that way.
So you feel like people are, like there's just so many more events,
I think so many opportunities to meet new people, right? And yeah.
Whereas it used to be just bowling.
Yeah, just bowling. Bowling or the ball field, eh? But
yeah. Well, Teri-Lynn, you would have a knowledge about that, being with the Chamber of Commerce with networking.
The amount of events and activity that are happening in our community is more than we've seen in, at least for my time working at the Chamber, and that's been, 12 years. And so there's more things coming up, but what always astonishes me is the volunteers that show up for every large event, for even all the small events. The amount of community involvement is amazing. I talk about it at some of our conferences, and a lot of communities don't have what we have for volunteers, and I'm so proud of our community for that.
I want to ask about the Vic Juba Theatre and what's that changed, how that's changed things as well. The Vic Juba, to me, because I moved here in 1991 and moved away to go to Edmonton to Nate, came back, started working at the radio station, and saw the opening of the Vic Juba Theatre. And I thought it wasn't a big deal at the time. You see the pictures of Vic Juba, I think it was Ken Baker, breaking ground at the Vic Juba Theatre. And, they're getting a theatre. But, man, that's changed things. Like, there is some quality entertainment that has come through Lloydminster. But it's also, I think, improved the arts in our city. Like, more, like you mentioned, sports, right? And that, does it not seem like it's, now there's a little bit more culture than just sports? in the city? Am I off base there?
No, I think it's a great facility, and we certainly see, obviously being part of it with the city, it's certainly a great facility, run by a great board of directors, and the staff there are phenomenal, coveted by many people or many different groups throughout the industry. But certainly we see it all the time, whether it's all the dance festivals, the different acts that come, and it just takes our city to another level. It's just more than just, like I said before, sports recreation. It just adds a arm of diversity that we didn't have before, and so it's certainly great for people to go watch.
Do you want to expand on that? Does anybody want to expand on that, or just agree? I guess
it's just a great addition and a focus piece in our community.
like Center Stage Studios had like 89 kids or something this year for their Cinderella. Like that to me is amazing. Like 89 kids that want to learn how to act and how to and aren't scared to get on stage. Like, I'm terrified. Like you put a camera on Deanna, she starts sweating like crazy.
And put me on a stage, I would do the same.
You've been involved with so many, like you were involved with the Health Foundation Gala.
Yeah.
You've been involved with a lot of stuff. Is there an event? Is there something that stands out to you that you've helped put together, or maybe an event you just like to go to and think?
Well, I guess most recently I was involved with the ESO Cup, which, touching base on her volunteer comment, like, man, Hockey Canada was just dumbfounded how quickly we grew our volunteer. And that's just, to say Lloydminster has these events and we all come together. And in the growth and the expansion of our city, people think, oh, it's a city, but I still think it's just a community, right? Because or town, or, it's so small and everybody is so supportive. But,
yeah, you see it as a town yet, eh?
Yeah.
Do you see it as a town yet?
Nope, not at work. Yeah, I think, that one of the things I noticed when I came back is I didn't know everybody. And as I've grown to, I start to, when it was 20 years that we left for Lloydminster.
20 years, eh?
20, yeah, we were in St. Paul for 5 and Vermilion for 14. So it was close to 20 years. So it certainly been interesting getting to know the community again and but also it's great to relive some of the memories and get to know even the people that I haven't seen for a number of years and get to reacquaint myself with them. So
did you always have a goal of coming back? Was Lloydminster a goal for you?
Yeah, certainly it was. My family's here, my in-laws are here, but it's certainly in the industry of municipal government that doesn't always work out that way, especially in the CAO role. You do move around a little bit, and so certainly it's been nice to be back in the area. I mean, Vermilion's only a half hour down the road, so we were still in the area, and our kids played hockey here. We lived in Vermilion, so it was still good. But it's always had an outside goal of moving back home.
How excited was your family when you got this job?
Well, it was interesting because we'd actually just moved to Lacombe, and I had just been there for 8 years. So the job opening came open the day I moved to Lacombe. So it was interesting that all transpired, and I guess it was meant to be. But certainly my kids had just started high school, or one of my middle daughter just started high school in Lacombe, and so it was like, okay guys, and we couldn't tell them until the day it was announced. And so it was and we'd actually left our oldest daughter here. She was graduating that year, so it was really nice to come back before she had to spend that whole year without mom and dad with her grandparents.
Yeah. What events do you think about when you think of the city that stand out for you, Teri-Lynn, that you look forward to each year? This is an event. I don't want to miss this one. This is a fun one.
The parade. That is my absolute favorite. I remember I never missed a parade growing up until I became a professional and there was a conference I had to go to, but that is one that I never miss. I love going to the parade. You see everybody out. From being a kid and then taking my kids, and now that my kids are gone, I still enjoy being at the parade.
I did not expect I did not expect that. That's awesome.
Yep, that is my absolute favorite. There's so many, there's Street Fest and there's Canada Day and the fireworks and the fair and even some of the more professionals. Like, I love our business awards when you get to see, businesses being recognized, and just even the women's events, and there's so many, but my absolute favorite is the parade.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
120 years
everybody's
this
a
year.
good
Yeah.
120 years this year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 120 years of the fair this year. That's the theme. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love looking at old pictures of the fair.
Yeah.
Like, and you recognize somebody that, oh, look at Joe Ballier sitting on that float, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or,
It used to be televised. They
Hey.
used to televise it on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I think they've televised it every year. I think it's been, and there's been a lot of talk about TV lately. So I've been looking back at a lot of pictures, right? Of, and you see them set up on the roof and everything
Yeah.
to
The
broadcast
old buildings,
parade.
right?
All
To
the
see
old
how it's
buildings.
changed.
Yeah.
You know, this is
The old vehicles
Yeah.
and the different types of floats. Some of those floats were quite elaborate, and
Yeah. How about you, Dion? Is there an event that?
It's maybe not one particular event, but I'm always amazed. Deanna mentioned the SO Cup, but just the community's ability to pull off the Alberta Summer Games is always. That was my first job at university. It was the 1997 Alberta Games. Cindy Reckbush and I were both on that one, and so to see that evolve and then to host the Alberta Games again, the Saskatchewan Games this past year. Not many communities could host the Saskatchewan Games and a SO Cup in 1 year, not to mention all the other events. So just the city's ability to host the major events, the Allen Cups, the RBC Cups, all those different things that have come over the years is truly amazing that not many communities of this size pull that off.
So I remember when the Alberta Games came, because I was working in the restaurant industry. And man, if you want to ever see what impact that has on our community, like even the Chuck Wagon event, the finals. I remember when it came to Lloyd first year. I was working in at Bonanza, and man, it was
an
crazy.
oldie.
Like, it was absolutely crazy.
That's a great memory right
Yeah.
there.
Bonanza.
All you
yeah.
can eat, yeah.
It was a great restaurant.
We talked about that this week and how, because all of us kids were never allowed to order off the menu, only
Yeah.
we're allowed to have the salad bar.
We used to have people call and they'd say, what's your hot dish today? Because there's always a hot dish, right? Oh, it's macaroni and cheese. Okay, we'll be in. People love the macaroni and cheese. It was always.
I remember making a mess because the ice cream bowls were always hot out of the dryer or the dishwasher, and my ice cream would be dry to fill it, and it'd be dripping all the way to the table.
I want to write a book about my time at Bonanza. I really
Best
do.
clam chowder.
And yes, they had the best clam. We had the best clam chowder at Bonanza, and that's another thing that's growing in the city is, it used to be if you went and you drove to like Edmonton or Saskatoon, you had a doctor's appointment or something like that, you'd be like, oh, let's go eat at this place because we don't have one. And now a lot of those restaurants are here.
Yep.
Like they've moved in.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of things that have grown, and Teri-Lynn mentioned the parade, and now the TV's closed. We're all wondering what's going to happen with the parade, and will it still find a way to be televised? We're working on that, by the way. We're trying to come up with a way. But I want to talk about TV. I want to talk about that. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the people that have come through Lloydminster and some of our recollections, because I know I worked with Deanna on Here Comes Santa Claus, and every time I would say to Deanna, oh, TV wants to do the interview. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Always you would say that. You come a long way since those days. We'll take a break and be right back with more from Border City Furniture, where the sale never ends.
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
At Jason Arden & Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden & Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
It's more than just taxes at L&A CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at L&A CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. L&A CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
We've been talking about growth in the community. Well, Wellings of Lloydminster is a brand new community within a community, and they're excited to help you live life to the fullest. At Wellings, their mission is to enable connection, build community, and enrich the lives of their 55-plus members. Discover a new way of living and a new way of retiring and experience more freedom. This is the time of year, of course, where you want that freedom, right? Freedom to travel, freedom to spend more time with your family, less time cutting grass. Just head to the lake. At Wellings of Lloydminster, independence speaks for itself, and the social opportunities outside your door are endless. You can visit Wellings of Lloydminster, 3211 72nd Avenue on the Alberta side. Gorgeous 1- and 2-bedroom villas are available now, and 2-bedroom villas have a beautiful garage as well. For more information, visit wellingsoflloydminster.com. I welcome you back inside Border City Furniture, where the sale never ends. I want to thank Calvin. There's another guy who grew up in Lloydminster, and another person who worked at Bonanza. That's how I met Calvin. Yeah, met him working at Bonanza. He was a cook there, and then I left to go to the Greek Classic. Remember the Greek Classic with Bill Kokonas? I went to work for Bill, and Calvin went to work for Spiros. So we both went to our separate ways, but went into the more into the Kokonas family. But so I worked at Bonanza, then I worked for Bill, and then I went to school. I went to Nate for 2 years, and I stayed there one summer. I stayed in Edmonton and worked for the grocery people. And then as soon as I was done school, you had to do a practicum. So of course I want to do my practicum in Lloyd, right? So I call Broadcast Center. I must have left 20 messages for Neil Bergen, annoying him, saying, hey, I want to come work for you for free for 4 months, do my practicum there. No reply. He never called me back. And then one day I'm back here and working, spraying weeds for Lyle at Marksman. And I get a call, yeah, we got a job opening. It's Neil Bergen. So I never did actually
wanted to pay you instead.
They paid me instead. And then I ended up winning a scholarship. So I think that was their way of talking me into paying more money to get my actual diploma, because once you have the diploma, nobody's ever going to ask you for it broadcasting. It's just, but Broadcast Center downtown for me was always such a highlight of Lloydminster. And so before I worked in that industry, I would see people like Neil Bergen, Joanne Daniels out, and Wes Saunders, and you'd see them shopping for their groceries, or they'd come into Bonanza for lunch. I'm like, oh man, there's the famous people in Lloyd, right? And we're losing that now. The 2 television stations are closing. But growing up here, you guys just grew up with the television stations being so close. And I was thinking yesterday when George Wendt passed away. So Norm from Cheers, he passed away at 76. And I was thinking to myself how when I was young and we came up, and I had relatives in Blackfoot, how they got Cheers and we didn't. So for the first 3 years, Cheers was on, either CITL or CKSA TV, who knows which one. But yesterday I could still picture Bob Cameron when I worked there. He would always say, we have, I think it was 27 of the top 30 shows in Canada are on our stations. So Lloydminster really offered a lot. Like, think about like Cheers and how big it became. And we got the Saskatoon stations. We didn't get Lloydminster where I grew up. So when we came here, it's like, what's this show? You know? But I feel like Lloyd was really spoiled having 2 television stations, and maybe they didn't realize it. Do you guys feel that way? Maybe, you know, because I think there's a lot of sadness in those 2 iconic television stations closing. But what are some of your guys' memories growing up here? Because they've always been here. You know, whenever I remember when we blew up the Parkade, a lady phoned me and said, like, "Is this Kurt Price?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "You're pretty good, but you're not Ernie Ford." Oh. I was like to me, it was like, that's pretty cool. Did you know Ernie? Did you ever experience Ernie? He knew the old Dutch guy, so he used to keep potato chips in his car. Did you know that?
Nope.
And when he saw kids on the street,
He'd give them away.
he'd give them potato chips, you know. But who are some of the people that like I've mentioned Wes Saunders, you know, Michael Higgins for me that was kind of the era when I moved to Lloyd. Michael Higgins was kind of like the big guy on the news and on the radio, because of course when you work here, you do both.
Yeah.
But what are some of your memories of having those television stations here? And Deanna, you mentioned the SO Cup. I can't imagine the SO Cup without TV there.
Yeah.
You know,
it's unfortunate.
Yeah. What do you think when you think about TV?
Well, I think it's a big loss for our community, obviously, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a touchy subject.
You would have been on TV a lot, Teri-Lynn.
Yeah, she would have been.
Like, you'd have been interviewed a lot. Whenever anything, like, and they'd always come to you to localize it, right?
Yeah.
Something
All
big
of our
happens.
local events, like the Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo, they were there every year, and it just showcases some of our bigger events and and even our smaller ones, like our all candidates forums and our job fairs. The TV was there for all of those events, so it's a loss. I have great memories of growing up at, you know, you turned on the news and you sat and you listened to the news while you ate supper, and carried on that tradition for my kids. And I don't think I could, for many years, we just sat and listened to the news and ate supper and cleaned up, and the TV was changed.
Yeah,
like, it was just,
I remember the local commercials.
The local aspect,
Yeah, making commercials, that was fun.
That's a good point, because I remember Gil, was it Gil at Nelson Lumber? Tell him Gil sent you.
Yeah.
Remember?
I remember being in a co-op commercial when they had the clothing store over there, and I had to wear these sunglasses. Look, and I still remember.
You were in the
That's probably what
commercial?
traumatized me, the cameras, because I had to do all these weird. Yeah, look down at these. Actually, Lenny Lee James was in there with Darcy Pollard was in one of the commercials with me, and it was just like. And that was fun because you got to watch TV and see people you knew, and it was a big deal to be on the TV.
And Dion, you have a connection with Broadcast Center.
Well, certainly my mother-in-law was there for just about 50 years, I think. Worked for Ken Ruptash and Graham Brown for a number of years, so certainly have those connections still today, and lots of good memories there. So I certainly, I had the commercial as well. On Shep's. Shep put me in one of his commercials, and I was in there flexing a hockey stick and doing different things. But certainly I wasn't one that wanted to be on camera, so I certainly didn't enjoy it a whole bunch. But even just the local coverage of our hockey games, and Greg Buchanan and Ron Thornton and Pat Thomas was on radio, but certainly those people and Reed Wilkins, you hear him in Edmonton. A lot of high-profile broadcasters have started their career in Lloydminster and have moved on to some of the bigger networks, but certainly it's certainly going to be missed, not only the jobs but the coverage. As a city, we now have to think about how we get our news out there, our local news out there a little bit better, and TV will be missed for sure.
So, am I the only one that would get excited when I saw people like Neil Bergen out shopping, and Pat Thomas is another one?
Yeah.
Would you guys have that, like, oh, there's the local celebrities?
Yeah.
Like, I still get that when I see Vic Jubau too. You know, you talk about the parade. Vic would always be commentating on the parade.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching from '95 the other day. There's a thing on YouTube you can watch for the parade, and I was watching and imagine this. They had Troy Stevens doing like just going out and talking to people, and then they had talk about powerhouses. They had Vic and Michael Higgins were doing the commentary. So it's like that's pretty darn awesome. Like, and then when I started there, Vic was still doing the parade. Like Vic would still comment on the parade, and now he's the guy that I see when I see him out in public and doing stuff with the Lions still, because he volunteers still to this day. You're still like, hey, there's Vic Juba. Like you get a little kind of flutter. I mentioned like Cheers, like, and Norm passing away. Like TV just isn't the way it used to be. But what television show is like? Is there a TV show that you guys still watch from your childhood that you're like, oh, I still I watch it every time it's on?
Three's Company.
Yeah, that's where I was. Three's Company, same way. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Golden Girls. Now that I'm reaching that age era, I can relate to them a little more.
You realize Three's Company was the same plot every time, right?
I know, but Jack was awesome.
He really was awesome.
Well, my husband is a big 80s TV buff, so we have like all the series for Cheers and Night Court and
Night Court.
Yeah, so we've watched all of those. I can't tell you how many times because it is many.
Yeah, Cheers and Night Court were back to back.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm really excited about the new arena opening, and I think that's going to bring in some more entertainment to our community. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is like, if I could pick somebody, and I realistically, like if I could pick somebody realistically to open that, like a grand opening concert, you know, for that arena, who would it be realistically? And obviously it's not going to be Garth Brooks, you know what I mean? But who would it be? And I'm interested in you guys, who you would like to see. Who would it? Like, you maybe have inside track here. I don't know if you should answer this question, but who, like, for me, I was thinking like, man, somebody like Clint Black would just be.
Clint Black would be good.
Fantastic, somebody like that. We just had the Bellamy brothers at the Vic, and they're a little bit older than Clint, but Clint Black, something like that would be fantastic.
What about a little Nickelback or something?
Would they be too big? They would be too big, eh? You think?
You know,
It'd sell it out, that's for sure.
I can't believe you're a Nickelback
I
fan.
love Nickelback, but I do love my country, and
Yeah.
one for me is I just seen a new tour coming out, Regina, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Brian Adams.
Oh,
Would
yeah.
We have our tickets for that.
Yeah, so
He's got
it'd be,
lots of new
lots of
songs.
stuff.
That's honestly my favorite concert I've gone to.
Brian
Was Brian Adams.
I've
You don't
never
realize
seen
you
him.
know all of his songs.
Yeah.
We were second row center stage, and one of the funnest concerts I've been to.
Brian Adams.
Brian Adams,
He'd
yeah.
be
So
really
you're
good.
both going with Brian Adams?
I haven't
I
got
don't
my
know.
tickets yet, but
Would that be? I wonder if he'd be too big. I don't know.
Don't know.
Probably, but there's been some really big artists play in Lloydminster. Like for you, who's somebody that you've seen come through Lloyd that you went to the concert? And you
well,
remember?
I just did a video here the other day for the Civic Center and some of the history around it, and we had
Charlie Pride.
Charlie Pride, Johnny Cash was here, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. We used to set up the concerts for as part of our hockey fundraisers. We used to set up the stage and the sound equipment for Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Sawyer Brown was another one that we did. Platinum Blonde was another one that came to the Civic Center at one point, and so those were all big in the day in the 80s.
I remember all those.
Yeah.
I remember all those coming to Lloyd, including Platinum Blonde. That would have been like 80s.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of the first concerts that the Gold Horse Casino had when it opened up was Platinum Blonde. Brought Platinum Blonde back. So were you at all those concerts then?
I was at. I didn't go to. Johnny Cash was a little outside my time frame, I think, from before. But certainly the rest of them, we were there. Yeah.
That's crazy to think he was in Lloydminster.
Isn't
Don
it?
Wolf remembered him from the arena. Don was working at the city when he came in the Civic Center. So Don had some great memories.
It's
of it.
amazing to me to think Johnny Cash was here
I
as
know.
well. But celebrities have this thing where they go up and then they kind of come down, and then for me it's like Lloyd can maybe catch him on their way
Right
down
in
a little
between
bit.
the two larger centers,
Yeah.
so it's just stop on the way and.
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
Reed was here.
Johnny Reed was here, and then
Brett
Johnny
Kissel.
wouldn't come back because we didn't have enough because his stage was so high.
Oh.
Remember that? For his tour, his stage was just too high for any roofs here in Lloyd. So did you go to Charlie Pride?
I did. Mom took me as my very, very. I was just really little.
You couldn't have been that little. There's no way, because it was in the 90s.
When I was 10 maybe, and then
You were more than 10 in the 90s.
I don't remember. I don't remember. How
I
old
met
was.
you when you were working at IGA.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even
I
say
was
I
fresh
met
out of
you.
high school.
You were still, I think, were you?
Oh, I was in high school.
You were
yeah,
in high
grade
school.
12, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you couldn't have been, like, because Charlie would have been like early 90s, right?
Yeah, maybe.
What'd you think? Charlie Pride, early 90s?
We'll have to Google it after and see.
Yeah.
I don't think I might have been 10.
Maybe you came twice. Maybe you came when you were just little.
Maybe.
One of those shows I remember was Marty Stewart came.
Oh, right.
Marty Stewart
He'd be
came in the
good to
90s.
come, yeah.
And Mark Chestnut came in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That was a big one. And he was good.
And that
Like,
was all
a good show.
Pacific?
Yeah.
Or was
that
it at the fair?
No, one was
or-
at the exhibition grounds.
Was it the fair? Like
I can't
In the
remember.
Alberta, like, well,
Oh,
it's
the Alberta.
it used to be the Alberta room, but the
Okay.
Culligan room now.
That's where Mark was? I think
I'm
it
pretty
was.
sure it
yeah, I
was,
think
yeah.
it was. Yeah, I think the only concert I think I've ever been to at the Civic Center was the Rankin family.
Oh, they were good too.
Yeah. The Rankin family came to Lloyd too. Yeah. What's the concert you remember, Teri-Lynn?
I remember just being at the fair Friday nights, Friday or Saturday nights, whatever the headliner was, and that was always a family ordeal that you had to get to be at the fair for those concerts.
Yeah.
I
There's
can't
been some
pick
big
one
names
out, but
coming
there's
through
some big
there,
big
yeah.
names, and yeah, so
There has been some.
there's
big-
been some really talented people come through our community.
John Michael Montgomery was one of the last ones that I saw out at the fair that I was like,
I remember
Yeah.
that one, yeah.
He had just come from Craven, and his voice was a little. He didn't have real hard
Vocals?
vocals, but I was telling you guys about the Bellamy. Like remind me to tell you about the time that I.
Oh, yeah.
So the bus was parked out back at the fair because the Bellamy Brothers were playing there, probably Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I saw the bus sitting there, so I went and knocked on the door, and the door opened, and the bus driver's like, "Come on in." So I go up the stairs, and I'm like, "Yeah, just looking for David and Howard. I'm with the radio station. Thought they might be interested in doing an interview or something." And the bus driver goes, "Well, you can ask them yourselves. They're just getting dressed." And so I looked at the back, and literally they were standing there in their white boxers, putting on their pants. Like they were literally, and they're like, "Sure, we can do something. We'll come out in a few minutes. Just maybe wait outside. We'll be out there in a couple of minutes." So went out and ended up getting a picture with them and arranging an interview, which, you know, when women give you a fake phone number, I think David gave me a fake phone number to set up the interview. It never really happened. I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, the fair is a big place where a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite times of year. It's one of my favorite memories of Lloyd, because I always thought the fair was a pretty darn good fair. There was always lots of rides and always lots of fun. The other thing about Lloyd is it's so nice to be able to travel to the lakes. Like I think everybody here loves the lake, right?
Yeah, we were talking before it came on air here about everybody's got their cabin at Turtle Lake, or we have something at Loon Lake or Battleford, and
Yep.
so certainly it's just a great close proximity. Lots of them are in close proximity, both Saskatchewan and Alberta side, and certainly it's a trademark for our area. I think that goes unnoticed sometimes.
It does.
From a tourism perspective, and
Yeah, if only we knew somebody in the city that could do that with marketing.
yeah, darn Leo, eh?
Darn old Leo. Yeah. Yeah, you've been going to the lake since, like, you guys did that for years and years too, right?
We used to be, growing up, we had a cabin at Perch Lake, which is just right outside Paradise Hill. And then my parents sold it actually to go to the acreage and then manage a bowling alley. But that's where our family grew up, and grandparents. Now we're at Turtle, and it's nice, and you're at Turtle, and
So you guys are right close to each other at
the
Turtle,
same
too?
beach, yeah.
Yep.
Just down the road.
See a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened to us, we were down in Mazatlan, I think, and there was a lady from that area. I think she was from Glassland, I think, and we started talking to her, and she asked us about Lloydminster, and she actually said, "Why would you want to live in Lloydminster? There's nothing there in Lloydminster. There's money, I guess." Like that's what she had said, and a lot of us are looking at each other going, "There's nothing in Lloydminster." Like all of us just you know.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we can criticize Lloyd, but
You better
but
not.
you better not. It's like somebody in the family, right? Hey, we can criticize our family members, but nobody else outside the family better start
Exactly.
talking
Yeah.
bad about. That's a lot of people in your case, Dion. But but Lloyd is. I find we wanted to do this because I think it's a special place, and I think a lot of people that and Faye is one of them, sitting behind the camera today, that move here and think that they're only going to be here for a few years. Certainly, I thought that when I moved here. I thought I'm going to move to Lloyd, and I don't know, 2 or 3 years it'll be a start, and then I'll end up being somewhere else. But you guys grew up here. Do you feel like you're lucky to have grown up?
I'm very lucky,
in
yeah.
this
I never
community?
ever wanted to leave. And I wanted to raise my family here, which I did, and they're all coming back. They've done their school, and that's where they want to be here too. So I'm very, very fortunate of that. And
What do you hear when you hear that, Dion? When you hear people say, "Well, the kids want to come back"?
That's terrific, and that's one of our things at the city is how do we get people to want to stay here and move here, obviously, and so it's it's always it's an easy sell when you're from here, and certainly it's something that always proud to be from Lloydminster, and it is hard, as you say. When I lived in St. Paul, nobody wanted it. They always trashed St. Paul, Bonnyville back and forth, right? So you talk about that kind of stuff, and Lloydminster is no different, but it's home for us, and so certainly it's always easy to brag up your community, and certainly there's always challenges with anywhere you live, but certainly there's so many more positives that outweigh those negatives. That's a great place to live and work.
And Teri-Lynn, you can see it every day.
I'm so proud of our community. We have such a great entrepreneurial spirit. We have opportunities here that lots of communities don't. We have it's a larger center, but it's still a very hometown feeling. You can see that with our volunteers. You can see that with our sports. Like, you can't drive down right now. All the ball fields are full. All the schools are full with the ball. Just the amount of activity and pride that we have in our community. Why would I want to be anywhere else?
and I think sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I just think if there is people mentioning stuff like that, I think they just need to put themselves out there in our community, and you'd be surprised how many people you meet, and you gotta put into what you want to get out of it, right? So if you're gonna live here and enjoy it, I think that's what you have to do, or else you're never gonna.
There's that smell from the canola plant, right? That we all remember.
Yeah.
And when I think about Lloydminster, one of the people that I think about the most is Ken Baker. And Ken used to say to me, "That smell of money. That smell of money. Don't ever mistake that for anything else. That's smell of money."
There's two distinct spat and the KFC.
Well, you used to have two.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You used to have-
drive through down Main Street and that kitchen. It's like, it makes me so, my stomach is growling right now.
Who do you think of when you think of Lloydminster? Like some of the people that, growing up
Larry
here
Olenek.
that created Larry?
Yeah. A lot of him. Yeah.
What was it about Larry?
I don't know. He's just a funny guy. He's missed, but I just think he put himself out there and he was involved in everything. Got a lot of Here Comes Santa Claus Day. He really had to push behind that. And now look at where we're sitting at. How many years? 19 years?
Oh, I don't know. 17
But yeah,
for
just
sure.
him and Todd Gustafson, I think, are two of my dad.
Your dad.
And my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Your dad used to, so when I was working for the radio station, we used to have like events where we'd have barbecues and stuff like that, right? And I remember one time your dad, he came through, no shirt on. He was like driving through, no shirt on, and he threw money at me. "Don't have time for a burger." And he threw the money out the window. I think we were at I can't remember I think it's called Fast Gas on the corner there, across from the mall.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember, it used to be Racetrack, but I can't remember what it was. Was it Mohawk?
Well, I think there was probably liquor store right next to it. That's probably going first.
That's probably where he was.
So I think Ricky Wochuk used to own it at that time, and their buddies, and maybe, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't have time for a burger.
Yeah. There's lots of great people here.
Who do you think of, Teri-Lynn?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many people that have built our community. Like if you look at like the Glenn Fagnans of the world that, volunteered and was a business owner and just spent so much time building our community and making sure that, the balance between the social and the entrepreneurs and the business, like there's people like that have been through our community that, we're lucky to have.
Absolutely.
I've had,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And all three of those guys that you guys mentioned, like Todd and of course Larry, and Larry was such a character. Who are you thinking of, Dion?
Well, for me, it's probably, the name was brought up before, Vic Juba. When I left and just after 97 Summer Games, Vic was the chair of the Alberta Summer Games, and so I really got to know him at that event and worked with him very close on hosting that. But his name's all over the community. You look at the theater, you look at worked at the Upgrader for years. Number of the museum and the all the document. We see a lot of documents that his name was all part of all these committees and all these different things that went on in the city. So he certainly comes top of mind. And
how did he have the time? Hey?
Yeah,
all this stuff.
It's amazing. That's part of his legacy is the amount of time him and Anne both put into the community, and they're just it's amazing what they did and what they have done for the community over the years, and certainly putting his name on a facility like the Victory was a great move by the city back in the day, and certainly worth it.
Do you remember when they announced that the name was going to be Vic Juba?
I wasn't here at the time. We weren't in Lloydminster, but
TV captured it.
Yeah.
TV captured it when they said this is going to, and his head just dropped. He couldn't believe it. Yeah. And now when you just say the Vic, of course everybody knows it. There's so many great people that built our community and so many great fundraisers. I think back of, how many times we were in the mall and we'd see the same people every year, getting locked up at the SPCA. A lot of people come, make their donations. I think we just I feel like people who grew up here, sometimes take it for granted.
Yeah.
Like how good it is, because how many people whenever I'm on boards and stuff like that, or doing stuff with people, it's like, oh, you didn't grow up here, but you love it here. People that move here actually maybe tend to really appreciate it a little bit more than the people. Does that make sense?
Reasonable.
Like you would probably be both because you moved away and then came back.
Yeah, certainly we've certainly recognized what we missed over for 20 years. We missed a lot of family time. We missed a lot of friends, and so reconnecting takes some time to do that. But it's certainly been worth our while. Certainly worth our time, and great for our family to come back and be together and be with our parents as they age and be with them for the.
It's so nice to have. Like I remember when my brother moved here, it was like, oh man, finally somebody helped me move a couch. It's so nice to have that family connection. Anything else? Anything that you guys want to mention about the city before because I've taken up a lot of your time here, but anything else that you guys want to talk about that that makes the city such a special place to live?
We talked earlier about Bud Miller Park was one that was just a gem in our community. I've talked to some of the parents for the SO Cup that were just out here, and they wanted some things to do, and so we said, why don't you go to try out Bud Miller Park, walking trails, all those different things, and they came and thanked me the next day at the Cup, and just a hidden gem in our community, and so many things to do out there. We walk every day there, twice a day, and you can see just all kinds of people, all walks of life, all different types of events. It's just a great facility for our community.
It was nice during the SO Cup too. Like it was such nice weather that we had during the SO Cup. Such a nice spring.
And an oldie but a goodie is the outdoor pool.
Yeah.
I will, I spent so much time there as a kid, and my kids spent time there. So the outdoor pool is still a hidden gem, and I think is a fantastic facility that we have.
My nieces love going to the outdoor pool, and I love going with them too. Like the water's always so warm. For you, Deanna, anything else?
I think we captured it all.
Do you remember when Bud Miller? Like, were you in town?
The 80s,
still? When it opened up? Because there used to be paddle boats and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You can rent canoes out there, can't you now? Kayaks
there's
and
a
stuff like that now?
private guy
Is
out
there
there.
fish in there? Like people are fishing.
Oh, yeah.
What's in there?
Yeah.
Like
Well, the
what
city
kind of
manager
fish?
would know.
I might not know that. I'd have to. I'll get you that answer though.
No, there's fish because I seen that. What kind of fish?
Yeah. And then there's always a ton of geese.
Oh, I know. They chased me.
They chased you?
My dog did not. They did not like my dog.
Well, I want to thank all three of you for giving us some of your time today and for reflecting on your time growing up.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
In Lloydminster.
You've definitely been a welcome addition to Lloyd back in whenever, 91 you said?
91 I moved here. Yep, 91 I moved here. I don't think Matheson's was still, for some reason that's the store I think about downtown. Like there was actually, it was like an open, like a fruits.
Or Sandy's News maybe?
No, it was, Matheson's was over here I think. But growing up here I remember like shopping downtown.
McLeod's?
Woolworths.
Woolworths? Oh,
Yeah.
I remember Woolworths was like,
so,
where was that?
That
That
had a
was
little cafeteria.
where
Yes.
Benjamin Moore is?
It's on the corner.
Yeah, right. Oh,
I think
Would
the
it be where
furniture's-
Benjamin Moore is? Because
No.
Fisher's was just down the road, or was it?
Woolworths,
I thought
think,
Woolworths was
behind.
right here, wasn't it? I'm not sure. We'll have to dig out some
Yep.
pictures.
So when I say Matheson's, nothing.
Matheson's Grocery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all kinds
George?
of fruit and
yeah. I think it was down
For some reason, I
beside
remember
Phillips
that. It was-
Menswear.
yeah, I think right beside
Yeah.
him or something. Yeah.
I remember because Mom managed Man's World, and it was, I think it's right. Yeah, I used to have to. I was little, I had to walk. And this is how Lloyd, you have to walk the bank, or like she'd take money from the, and you had to walk it down to Phillips to George. And I was like 6 and walking a bag of money, and like not even a worry in the world. Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you. Thanks to the three of you.
Thank
Once
you.
again,
Thanks, Kurt.
Dion Pollard, Teri-Lynn, MacKie, and Deanna Wandler for being our guest today on the PROspectives at Border City Furniture. And when I talked to Calvin about doing this and talking about the good things that our city has to offer and how, you know, outside events can influence us, and you see that all the time, Teri-Lynn. And Calvin said, absolutely, that sounds like something we need to push the good in our city. And there is a lot more of it than people
There
think.
sure is.
So many good
Are you
things.
doing this as a segment every?
Yeah, we do it
often?
once a month.
Oh, okay.
We do it
Good.
once a month. So if you have suggestions of people that you think that should be on the show, that's how
That's how I
Dion
got
landed
here,
here. David Lopez was sitting where you are, Deanna, and he said, you should get Dion Pollard on the show.
Yeah.
You know, Dion,
I
and
thank him for that every day.
it wasn't too bad, was it?
No, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was good.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back at the new Lloydminster Nissan. We'll introduce you to the Spark Foundation, and they have a market coming up that we're going to be talking about as well tomorrow at 10 a.m.